What's going on, guys? The Defenders. It's hitting Netflix, and there are 4 different shows making up 5 seasons of television that led up to this momentous occasion. So we're gonna break it down for you and make sure that you know everything you need to know and can dive right into The Defenders. And we're telling you which episodes are must watch. Also, there will be spoilers. And we've got a pretty cool panel of experts to talk about it with. First, she is one of the co-hosts of Marvel Movie News. Welcome back to the show, Markia McCarty.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And this young man is a friend of the show. He's also a co-host of Marvel Movie News. Welcome back, Koy Jandro.
Thanks, man. I started here with Deadpool.
Man,
This is my first Screen Junkies show.
Let's start with Daredevil. It was the first of these Netflix shows, and it got the ball rolling. Walk me through who are the just the key players that I need to know from Daredevil.
So the first season, Matt Murdock, obviously, both as Daredevil and as Matt Murdock. This is a guy that can see while blind and has superhuman abilities while not being able to technically see.
He's also a struggling lawyer, and you have to go through the intricacies of that.
It's interesting, they made a lawyer show out of a superhero show, and it worked.
Yeah, because you saw them just like putting the nameplate on their office,
Yeah,
trying
and
to
he
get
felt
this
for him.
struggling, you know, going to happy hour at the bar after work.
And that leads into Foggy, who's his best friend. They're attorneys together. They have this firm together. A lot of times Foggy knows who Daredevil is, and they have this relationship where he doesn't like what he's doing, but he respects his friend. So there's this great conflict there.
You're a lawyer. You're supposed to be helping people.
I am.
In a mask. Do you know what they call that? A vigilante, someone who acts outside of the law.
I really love Karen Page. She's really important in the comics. Claire Temple is set up in
Claire
Daredevil.
Temple is the Nick Fury of Marvel Netflix.
She assembles, she gathers this
She
team,
does.
she's in every show, she's vital, and she's the night nurse in Daredevil season 1. She patches him back together, and you realize that like she handles that crazy level of superhuman well. In Daredevil, the supporting cast shapes who Matt Murdock is, and his mentor and trainer from his youth, Stick, is a blind, curmudgeon-y, crotchety old man that you don't want to like, but since it's Scott Glenn, you do.
Scott Glenn is amazing. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin
Is an inspired choice. The portrayal of Wilson Fisk is arguably as important as the portrayal of Daredevil.
I mean, Wilson Fisk, I wished that some of the Marvel movies had a villain of that caliber.
I love Madame Gao in Daredevil because she is a complete badass.
Yeah.
This beautiful little woman. Oh, look at her. Oh, she's a mob boss.
3 episodes I think are really important. I think watching the second episode for the hallway fight. I think you really, like, that
know
moment.
what people are saying when they say hallway fight.
Like, there's a reason the Defenders trailer opens with a hallway. Like, everybody knows, like, that's gonna be a thing. And it's 4 of them having their own hallway. I also think episode 7, that really, like, has a lot of Stick backstory. Clearly he's important. You really need to understand the mystical elements to go into Defenders. And then episode 13 is... it's a finale, and it feels like a finale. It's a wrap-up of season 1. You get a closure on a bunch of characters. It's the first time Daredevil fully suits up. So at the end of season 1, Daredevil has taken out Wilson Fisk with Law and his fists, which is great. We've built the universe to a point, but it's very much open.
After season 1 Daredevil, the next series we were introduced to, Jessica Jones. Walk us through some Jessica Jones, Markia.
She has superhuman powers. You know, she has super strength. She's basically invulnerable, but not completely invulnerable. I mean, we start off and we know that she is a private detective. We know that she has a heck of a drinking problem. Whiskey is this woman's middle name. But along with that, she's also a fantastic detective that's just carrying around this huge load on her back. So she's in the employ of Carrie-Anne Moss, and you know her as Trinity from Matrix. Oh, she's a hard-boiled lawyer. The major villain that's in Jessica Jones is Kilgrave, the Purple Man. This is played by David Tennant. Through the use of mind control and pheromones, he's able to have people do whatever it is that he wants you to do. It's like the hypnotist from hell. And he believes that he is in love with Jessica Jones. For supporting cast is extremely great. We have Mike Coulter. Mike Coulter is Luke Cage.
Yep, that was our first introduction to Mr. Bulletproof himself.
Absolutely. He owns a bar, and of course Jessica Jones is going to wind up in that bar. And they immediately hit it off. And by hit it off, I mean, hello, R-rated. Yeah. With Jessica, we also have Rachel Taylor, and she plays Trish Walker. You would know her from the comics as Hellcat, but and here she's a radio talk host, and actually one of the major things with Jessica Jones is that she has to prove that Kilgrave exists. Trish Walker goes on her radio show and calls Kilgrave out, and of course he responds to that. brings us all around to this whole thing of IGH. Basically, when Jessica Jones was a child, she got into a horrific accident, and then this mysterious organization picked up all the bills afterwards. And then all of a sudden she had powers.
The accident that killed her parents?
Yes. There is this one episode, it's episode 8. It's called AKA WWJD. In it, you see where Kilgrave has bought Jessica Jones' childhood home.
Welcome home, Jessica Jones.
This is a particularly great episode because you find out about what makes Kilgrave tick.
I didn't have a home, loving parents, a family.
Great. What's another episode that we should take a look at to give us a full Jessica Jones refresher?
The finale is chillingly beautiful.
Yeah.
Kilgrave has come to the point where, fine, Jessica doesn't want him. She should want him, but he enlists like this crowd of people to serve as a human barrier between him and Jessica Jones while he's also calling forth to her. And then he has them fight each other to kill each other.
It's so creepy to see everybody just under his spell.
Yeah,
basically.
it's chilling. By that point, she's immune to his powers, and she snaps that neck.
Are there any other points that we should be familiar with?
Around the end of the season, we do have an injured Luke Cage, so that also brings in Claire Temple.
Yeah.
Once again, we have Trish Walker throughout this series. She's gone from being a little bit naive about the world into someone that you can easily see strapping on Hellcat and taking that around the town. So we have IGH, this mysterious corporation that we know has these pills that not only do healing abilities, but will get the people addicted to the pills, where they then basically have to work for that organization to continue to live. And Jessica Jones, since she proved that Kilgrave did exist, she's actually released by the police and back into her own messy life.
Great, thank you for that comprehensive snapshot of Jessica Jones. So after Jessica Jones season 1, back to Daredevil season 2, what are some of the main things we need to know about season 2 of Daredevil?
Punisher.
Yes!
Daredevil season 2 did what a lot of movies and a lot of shows try to do. It had a lot of comic characters in it. This is a show that introduced Elektra, introduced Punisher, brought back Kingpin, which actually surprised me. It's a show that builds. It was a sequel. We know Daredevil. We don't need another origin. So this allowed for us to build into bigger courtroom cases. There's a courtroom scene with the Punisher on trial. We can have this insane prison break with the Punisher doing everything the Punisher
Man, that sequence was out of control.
Insane. The Punisher fight was like, oh yeah, we see your hallway, let's raise it violence. And the entire time it's Matt Murdock trying to decide what's the lesser of two evils. And if there's anything that says Daredevil, it's what's the lesser of two evils. That's all season 2 is. You're trying to figure out who you're rooting for. So it built on what the first season did incredibly well by adding more characters you love, adding more mystical elements.
Tell us a little more about the Hand Crime Syndicate.
So the Hand is a team of mystical ninjas. They have superhuman abilities, and they also can't technically be killed. At one point, there is an entire clan of ninjas scaling a hospital, and we've earned that moment with 20 hours of brilliant television.
I am the enemy of the Hand.
The relationship with Elektra and Daredevil is one of the most important in comics. Daredevil has a lot of very important women in his life. They do a great job with this show, giving them enough time to breathe. We know Elektra's important in this world. We know at the end of the show, she's been brought back to life and is now Elektra. She is now a fully formed undead ninja assassin. And we, at the end of the show, get Punisher fully formed.
Are there any other characters, villains or otherwise, that we should know about from season 2?
More escalation with the Hand, more powers being portrayed. There's an entire scene where there's a hole, like a literal hole in the middle of the city that goes on for long enough. They don't know when it ends. That's an interesting like open Easter egg of what's that going to be. Stick is reintroduced. Elektra's a villain at this point. Punisher's a quasi-villain at this point. Kingpins might be involved. Like there's a lot of cards at play in the second season, and I really think Bullseye's coming.
Tell us a couple episodes from Daredevil season 2 that are must watch.
So if you don't have time for all of it, which I recommend, make time. Episode 9 is the prison break. Episode 9 is, we've already established the relationship between Punisher and Kingpin, and it's fascinating because the last man that's going to work for the Punisher in comics or the show is Kingpin. That's not a relationship, but he twists him and he manipulates him, which shows not only that Punisher's willing to do anything, but also that Kingpin is still the Kingpin while he's behind bars.
Yeah,
it shows
puppet
both
mastering. Yep,
they're both at power, and it's a beautiful power play. It's great writing, and all the while Daredevil's outside dealing with everything else, trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
It also is up there with the hallway fight scene as one of the craziest fights, and he ends with a bloody smear in his chest that looks like the Punisher skull. So it satisfies viewers, it satisfies comic fans. It's great for the story. And then if you can only watch 2 episodes, episode 13, because it does a beautiful job. Just like, it's a summation. It's everything's led to this. We see how powerful the Hand has become. We see what Madame Gao's up to. We see Elektra brought back to life. We see Punisher suit up. We see Daredevil be at odds with his relationship with Elektra, with his relationship with Karen, with Foggy. He's on a roof dealing with like every turmoil that you can possibly deal with, and he's fighting alongside his quasi-enemy / ex-lover. That's a lot to deal with.
Markia, Luke Cage, talk to us about it.
You know Mike Coulter, Luke Cage. You've seen him from Jessica Jones. He was wrongly accused, was sent to Seagate Prison, was experimented on by one of the prison guards there, and then ended up having bulletproof, invulnerable skin. And he escaped from Seagate. He is an ex-con. He's trying to, live under the radar in Harlem. It starts off in Pop's barbershop. Luke Cage is just a guy just trying to sweep the floors there, trying to do the dishes at Harlem's Paradise. That introduces us to a pretty epic villain. It's Cottonmouth Stokes. This character has so many layers to it. I mean, everybody wants to be the king. He has this huge portrait of Biggie Smalls, like in his office, and everything is stylized with him.
Yeah.
But he's a killer. Along with that, you have Mariah Dillard, that's played by Alfre Woodard.
Politics is where the power is, Cornell.
She's a councilwoman. Mariah and Stokes are kind of in league with each other. Pop, the character Pop, ends up being killed by Tone, who ends up being killed by Stokes because nobody kills Pops. Pops is, he's a figurehead.
Sacred, yeah.
Exactly. Luke Cage and Cottonmouth have this, it's so antagonistic, where Luke Cage knows that he's down and dirty, he's horrible, he wants to take him down, but the community doesn't necessarily know that. A really great supporting cast that we get. For instance, we get a Misty Knight, a detective. She actually is undercover, and you first meet her in Harlem's Paradise, where Luke Cage is taking over for a bartender. And there are immediate sparks between the two of them. They went out for coffee, let's say. Went out for coffee, so then you know what that means. Another key player in Luke Cage is Shades Alvarez. He is a manager of an unknown villain at that time, and he's working with Cottonmouth and at times threatening Cottonmouth to get the job done, get this Luke Cage character out of the way.
Right, who is this unknown villain?
The unknown is Diamondback, who also turns out to be Luke Cage's brother.
So what are some episodes? You should get Max Cage. But if you could only get minimum Cage.
Get minimum Cage?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yes, definitely see episode 7. It's called Manifest. In this, you explore the childhood of Mariah Dillard and also of Cottonmouth. And you find out all about Mama Mabel, who was this big mob boss. You really understand why it is that they are the way they are. You actually feel for them. As you get to that point and Manifest, Mariah kills Cottonmouth. And Shades Alvarez sees it and cleans it up.
Look what Luke Cage did to your cousin.
So, and then of course, episode 13, the finale. At the end of Luke Cage, Cottonmouth is dead. Mariah Dillard is in a very impressive position of power. She has Shades Alvarez in her corner also, so you're like, oh, that's a very powerful duo that can continue on in the future. Misty Knight is still part of, NYPD, but she is also on Luke Cage's side now. Luke Cage, unfortunately, is being taken back to prison.
You're under arrest for your unlawful escape from Seagate Prison.
Him and Claire Temple have a relationship. Oh yes, also, please. Diamondback, he is in the hospital because he has been defeated. However, Noah Bernstein, who was the same doctor that was trying to help Luke Cage earlier in the series, it looks like he's going to be helping out Diamondback. So that is a possibility that Diamondback might have the same powers that Luke Cage does. And then you also have to wonder, is this part of this mysterious organization that we visited in Jessica Jones, IGH?
Gotcha. Wow. Ooh, a lot of food for thought there. Markia, thank you for breaking that down. Now, there's one season of television left, the first season of Iron Fist. Just give me a thumbnail of who Iron Fist is and what his powers are.
Danny Rand focuses his chi into an actionable force, and that is manifested in a glowing fist. But he's also a billionaire. He went away into Kunlun for 15 years.
Gotcha.
His plane crashed. He didn't choose this life. It happened at him. He lost his family, his billionaire family. He's trapped in this world. He comes back, and it's that fish out of water story. Like, he's been training in this mystical land of martial arts and came back, and oh wait, this is my company. It's been run without me. What's going on? How do I acclimate? I'm not wearing shoes. So the things the show does right is it moves the story along with Carrie-Anne Moss's character. It moves the story along with the universe building. It moves the story along with the
supporting characters. The supporting characters in Iron Fist are amazing.
Who do you think is going to be recurring in Defenders?
Colleen Wing better.
Colleen Wing. Okay, Colleen Wing owns her own dojo, and she also teaches. She teaches kids, so she's down on the streets with these kids. She doesn't believe in things like fighting for money, but yet she does fight for money and kicks some spectacular ass while doing it to then provide money for those kids. Also, it ends up being a love interest of Iron Fist.
Who else?
Well, Claire Temple grows more. Claire Temple, who's been in all the shows, she has a really meaty role in this. She's in a lot more episodes than anyone expected. She has growth as a character where she's taking care of all these superheroes. She's not a superhero. It's starting to wear on her, and you see her be like, guys, I'm a person. Like, what do you want from me?
I'm a mortal.
Just let me be Claire Temple. So that was interesting, and I love that she took up actual claws to fight. Like, at one point, you see that she's ready to fight if she has to, and that's really powerful. And the supporting characters, the Meachums is the family, the corporate espionage family. I don't know how important they're going to be going on in the Defenders, because that storyline was the focus, and I feel like audiences kind of voted with, no, don't do that anymore. Okay. And so the 3 episodes I recommend for that flavor. Please. Episode 6, Immortal Emerges from Cave, was directed by RZA.
Yeah,
like,
that's my top one.
Wu-Tang, even on TV.
Mystical kung fu. In that episode, you get Scythe, who's one of the first villains to fight Iron Fist. You have Bride of 9 Spiders.
It feels like a comic book. It also feels like a video game. You're fighting bosses, you're leveling up.
Plus, you get Madame Gao. And Madame Gao's the one that set up this tournament that Iron Fist is
So she's been involved since Daredevil. She's been involved in behind the scenes. So it's really good episode to just catch you up with this character, because you don't have the semantics, you don't have all the corporate espionage. You have a man fighting that is an Iron Fist. Cool. So that's the episode. Episode 8 introduces Louis Tan as the Drunken Master.
Yes, the last 10 minutes of episode 8. Watch it.
Yeah, Louis Tan was an actor who was very close to playing Iron Fist himself. He's very charming and charismatic, and it shows what martial arts, like the 70s representation of martial arts, could have been on this show. And I think the episode that'll play in the Defenders' mystical element the most, so I've said 6 and 8 so far. I also think episode 12, it wraps up Davos. And Davos is a supporting character who wanted to be Iron Fist, who thought he deserved to be Iron Fist. He has this entitled sense of Kunlun, which is the mystical world they didn't really show.
He was actually supposed to stay there and guard it. Davos actually leaves to go get him. He's like, hey, you're Iron Fist. I want it to be Iron Fist. I should be Iron Fist, but I'm not Iron Fist. You are. Dude, get back to your post.
Gotcha. Final episode of Iron Fist. Where do we leave off?
Something that we didn't mention, but you would find out during the series, is that there is a character, Harold, who is killed and then is resurrected. That has to do with the hand.
Is that in like the same way that Elektra was resurrected?
Yes.
Same people, same theoretical way.
The hand.
Yes.
Yes. We know that Madame Gao and Davos in league with each other. Okay. So that's a...
Yeah, because he's butthurt that he's not the Iron Fist.
Yeah. And Madame Gao's very powerful. In fact, we don't really know what or who Madame Gao is.
And there's still a giant hole.
There's still a giant hole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we have Ward and Danny. They are running the company Rand Enterprises together.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go back to Kunlun.
Danny and Colleen arrived to discover that not only has it disappeared and it's gone, but there are a bunch of dead the hand, like in the pathway that would have led to Kunlun. So you don't know what.
So something stronger than the villain we've been setting up for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 4 shows, has taken out these mysterious ninjas, and they're in this mystical land of Kunlun, and it's the beautiful thing between like Daughters of Dragon setup and Iron Fist becoming more fully formed.
Cool. Okay, so now we're ready for the Defenders. What do we know about the storyline, what we're about to get into with the Defenders?
It's gonna unite all 4 of these shows into one very interesting flavor.
Who the hell are you?
My name is Matthew Murdoch. I'm your attorney.
I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
You what?
You're on the same side.
And we know that they're gonna be leaning into the action.
Yeah. Something that we also know is that Sigourney Weaver is a baddie in it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
not only that, we already know from the trailers and everything like that there is going to be an epic hallway scene, most likely in that building, right after they've left a meeting with Sigourney Weaver.
I hope it's like Fast
she's
6
fantastic.
and it's like a hallway that's impossibly long, like that airplane scene that lasts 12 minutes.
Oh,
I want
yeah.
a hallway episode.
Just like that runway.
Just forever.
You guys have caught me up and gotten me super stoked on the Defenders. Are you excited about the Defenders? What's your favorite season of these other 4 shows? Let us know in the comments section below. We want to know. I want to thank my awesome guests, Markia McCarty, Coy Jandreau. Thank you for breaking it down and educating us today. And thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.